Welcome friends, so we're just going to jump right in here. All of my completed pages. So when I first started coloring, I had not colored in years, since I was probably a kid. A friend of mine had given me a stack of coloring pages, and I just kind of started mindlessly coloring them with the intention of putting them in junk journals and things of that nature. I would color them, coffee dye them, tear them up, put them in these junk journals. This one here is nautical themed. It is for family members. I'm going to try not to show it too much because they haven't seen it yet. And I didn't put a ton of effort into this because it was not for YouTube. It's just for junk journals, for me, for my own personal use. This one here actually did come out of a coloring book. This is from Creative Haven, I think is the brand. I don't remember the artist, but it's a ancient map style with all these like sea monsters and sea creatures on it. So I colored that and coffee dyed it and put it in this junk journal because I thought it was so very cute. And again, these first ones I did not put any effort into because this was pre-YouTube days. I just kind of put them into junk journals without really much of a thought behind it. This last one here is just one that I actually tore up in half even and just added it into this junk journal for a little extra writing room. So if you ever need something to do with some completed pages, putting them in junk journals is a great idea as long as people can kind of write on the back of them or do something with them. All right, so we're going to start with the ones that were pre-YouTube. So I started coloring these coloring pages thinking I would put them into junk journals. And after I got through several of these, again, not a ton of effort being put into them at this point, I had an idea that I could use these to try to expand my creative and artistic ability and theme them in ways that I wanted so that I could put them in any kind of junk journal that I wanted. So if I needed a vintage style, I could make it vintage style. If I needed a fantasy style, I could make it fantasy style. So I came up with all these different themes, put them in a spinning wheel. I would pick a random page, spin the wheel, and whatever theme I landed on, I forced myself to turn that coloring page into whatever theme that I had landed on that day. The first one that I got, after I'd colored several of these just normal coloring style, I got this train and I drew a space theme. So I made the background look like a galaxy. This was actually a cornfield that I had to make fantasy style, and it was a complete and utter failure. And then I had this one that I also landed on a fantasy style. So I had a rhino and I added this castle on its back and all these mountains around it and made it this giant rhino and knew I was onto something. So this was just a koala. I made it steampunk style. This was a stork. I had to make it blizzard style. And then finally I decided I had to start putting these on YouTube. So this is the first video for YouTube that I made. So this is a wolf that I had to make fantasy style, and I themed it the same way I did with my rhino. This was just a country scene that I had to make post-apocalyptic, and most of these videos should still be available on YouTube. This is a country scene that I had to make cyberpunk style. That one actually I sat on for about a week because I knew it was going to be difficult. This was a deer. I had to turn fantasy theme. This was some kind of creature. I'm not sure what it is even to this day, but I had to make it Lisa Frank style. This was just a simple moose that I had to make steampunk style. So I added just a bowler hat and a monocle. And then these were some 1950s coloring pages that I actually chose to turn into Fallout themed fan art. So I've got all these different robots and iconic Fallout logos. I got Phelan's department store. This one I turned into a Nuka World Kitty Kingdom ad. Put Cappy in the corner. This one I added, or made into the third rail, which is a jazz bar in the video game. And this one was a car wash page that I turned into a Red Rocket car wash page, all from the video game. And this was actually done for Inktober. The theme was vacant, and so I did this one entirely with ink. I did not use any colored pencils. Then I got my Johanna Basford coloring book, and it was so empty. This was just a spiral of flowers that I turned into a snail and made it like this alien snail. I loved it so much I made a second one later on. This was just a wreath, so I added all these cute little creatures in it. My bunny here is a work in progress. I added the ship with a stamp and then added the storm clouds and the storm sea. This other one is Bug's Life. It was just a butterfly, and I added all the Bug's Life creatures and turned the butterfly into Gypsy. Added the rocks and all the blades of grass, the whole background. One thing about this coloring book, it is so empty that I had to add all this stuff to make it really anything. This centerpiece was just a pot of flowers, so I added all of the extra creatures and turned it into Fern Gully. These might be my favorite. I love Legend of Zelda. So one side I did Ocarina of Time. I added the Poe and Navi, the chicken, and then on the other side I made it themed after Tears of the Kingdom. And it was just these tiny pot of flowers in the center, and I added everything else. This I did the wolf, or I did the fox similar to my Lisa Frank style, made it really bright, and then put it on a galaxy background. This one's a work in progress, next video. Here's my other alien snail that I made, and it was so fun. All of these videos should be available on YouTube still. This next one was probably the emptiest page, almost the emptiest page in the entire book. It was like these stems with random flowers on it, and there was like maybe 8 flowers, and I had to add Alice, I had to add all the background, all the rocks, and I turned the flowers into flowers that could talk like in the movie. This was just the heart, or heart made out of flowers. This one was difficult because I wanted to keep the integrity of the flowers, but I wanted to make it look like Majora's Mask from Zelda. This is, again, just the pot of flowers. I had to add the tree, the rocks, the blades of grass, the little creatures, and I made it look like Once Upon a Forest. This one, just the centerpiece, was not, it was just the flowers, and I added all of the extra elements to turn it into Princess and the Frog. Same thing on the other side, the Thumbelina, the blades of grass, the background, all of that was added. It was just the flower in the middle. This was an arrangement of flowers. Every time I looked at it, I saw nothing but a giraffe, so I knew I had to turn it into a giraffe. This stork, it might be a work in progress. I may be done with it. I'm not sure. And this wreath here, I just added a little fairy in the middle. And then this last one is for a pending video that has not dropped yet, and I added Mushu in here and the cricket. Alright, this next one, you can find these videos on my shorts channel. So this is Girl Moments Volume 2. And the great thing about these is they're really cartoony. So if you want to get into some cartooning, this would be a great one to alter. I added Pepe Le Pew, which is my second favorite Looney Tune here. And the next one I did Marvin the Martian, my favorite of all the Looney Tunes, trying to kidnap the rabbits for specimen study. And then the next one, the most famous of all the Bugs Bunny cartoons, I added Bugs Bunny and the ballerina, shocked that they came in and stole her show. This was a girl sitting by a pool, and so I added tentacles coming up out of the pool, gave her a shocked, scared expression, her and the cat both. This next one was an Eiffel Tower, and it's done Acme style, so the great thing about Acme style is nobody is ever hurt, no matter the explosion or anything of that nature. So, and I made the eyes bug out along with the tongue, so it looked like those Acme cartoons where they're shocked and scared. Same thing here, volcano in the background, shocked expression, but all done cartoon style. So Acme cartoons, nobody ever gets hurt. And then this last one is my favorite coloring book of all time. It's Worlds Within Worlds by Kirby Rosanes. I've only done 3 of these. This one here took me 9 hours, and it was absolutely worth it. I have video available if you would like to go see that. And then this last one, I actually do have a video pending. I just have not released it yet. I will when it feels right, but this is this cute sloth. Absolutely loved it. But there you have it. That's the wrap up for everything that I did in 2025. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because if you don't, this channel won't go any further. But if you liked any of these pages, make sure you go and find that video and watch it as well. Until next time.